Good morning, grade 8s. Today we have to actually start doing T accounts. I trust that you went through all the notes that I sent, that you know the theory, otherwise this work is going to be quite difficult. What's the steps that we have to do when we do T accounts? Remember, step 1 is that all transactions will be recorded into 2 accounts. Step 2, you need to read the transaction carefully to make sure that you understand what happened in that transaction. Step 3, in grade 8, we only do cash transactions. Therefore, one of the 2 accounts concerned for each transaction will always be bank. Then you remember when you read, the business can either receive money or spend money. When the business receives money, money in the bank will increase. Therefore, the bank account will be debited. And obviously, the other account will be credited. When the business spends money, money in the bank will decrease. Bank account will be credited and the other account debited. Right, the first transaction. First transaction is that in April 2020, the owner deposited 100,000 Rand in the current account of the business as her capital contribution. First question is always, is this business getting money or spending money? The business is getting money. This bank account is the bank account of the business. If the business receives money, bank being an asset, money in the bank will increase. Asset increases on the debit side. So on the debit side, you will have to write the date. Where do I find the date? It's at the top. It's April 2020. And they also tell us it's the 1st of April. How much money do we get to put in the bank? 100,000 Rand. The next question is, why do we get this money? Who gave this money to us? They tell us the owner, and it is a capital. So the contra will be your capital. Contra is the name of the other account concerned. Remember, each transaction will have an effect on 2 accounts. So if we receive money, bank will be the one account, and while we receive the money, which in this case is capital, capital will then be the other account. Capital is also a balance sheet account, remember. We said that capital will increase on the credit side. Capital is the owner's share in the business. This owner on the 2020 April the 1st gave 100,000 Rand as her share in the business. And where is that money at the moment? In the bank account. So transaction, 2 accounts concerned. Business is receiving money, so money in the bank will increase. Owner is giving capital, her capital contribution, which is her capital, her share in the business, will also increase. Next transaction, on the 5th, we issue a check as payment for equipment bought. First question is always, is this business getting or spending? Bank is an asset, increases on the debit side, decreases on the credit side. We are spending money, which means money in the bank will decrease. That is why we are writing on the credit side. On the first line on the credit side, the date is still 2020 April. The day is now the 5th. We are spending 15,000 Rand. On what are we spending? On equipment. So in the contra column, you will write what you are spending the money on, equipment. Each transaction must be recorded in 2 accounts. In this, money was taken from the bank, so that is why we have bank account. What did we get in the place of the money? We got equipment. Equipment is an asset, remember. If we buy equipment, our equipment will increase. Equipment being an asset will increase on the debit side. The date is still the same, 2020 April the 5th. We bought equipment to the value of 15,000. How did we pay for this? By taking money from the bank. Can you see that this debit and that credit is the same amount? And that is what in accounting is known as the double entry principle. Double entry means each transaction, double is 2, must have an effect on 2 accounts. There are the 2 accounts. One account will be a debit, in this case equipment, because we bought equipment and equipment therefore is increasing. And the other account is bank. Why? Because we paid for the equipment, meaning we spent money. Bank being an asset decreases on the credit side. So the equipment increased and the money in the bank decreased. Next transaction on the 7th, we cashed a check for the cash float. Remember, cashed a check means you go to the bank with the check in your hand, you give the check to the cashier and that person will give you the cash. Again, first question is this business getting money or spending money? Cashing a check is spending money. Where is the money going to come from? From bank. Bank being an asset increases on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. This is now on the credit side because we are spending money. You do not need to write the 2020 in April again. We know it's still April. This time on the 7th, we are spending 150 Rand. If we spend money, money in the bank will decrease. On what are we spending? On the cash float. Right, other account concerned, remember whatever you have as a contra there will be the name of the other account concerned. Cash float is an asset. You're supposed to know this. Asset is increasing. How do I know it's increasing? Because we took money out of the bank to put in our till as the cash float. The date is still 2020 April the 7th. We put 150 Rand in the cash float. Where did that money come from? From bank. Remember, each transaction will be recorded into 2 accounts. The 2 accounts in this case is bank because we are spending money, bank will decrease, and cash float which increases because we took money from the bank into the cash float. On the 10th, we received an old bicycle. Receiving a bicycle is not receiving money, it's receiving a bicycle. So obviously we received this bicycle because we paid by check. We paid them by check. Again, spending money. Where does the money come from? From bank. Bank being an asset will increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. We are spending the money because we are buying a bicycle. If we spend, money in the bank will decrease. On the 10th, we are spending 90 Rand. What are we buying? The vehicle. That means the other account concerned will be vehicles. If we spend money on vehicles, vehicles being an asset, remember, that is why you need to know all of this, all the theory. Asset increases on the debit side, decreases on the credit side. We are receiving the vehicle 2020 April the 10th. The amount that we spent on that vehicle is 90 Rand, and where did the money come from? From the bank. Again, 1 transaction, 2 accounts. Money in the bank decreases on the credit side. Vehicles being an asset will increase on the debit side. Also on the 10th, We paid 450 Rand per check for the trading license. Again, we are spending money. If we spend money, we know that money in the bank will decrease. Bank being an asset increases on the debit side and decreases on the credit side. On the 10th, can you see I did not write the 10th again because the previous entry tells us it's the 10th, so it stays that the 10th until we change it again. This time we are spending 450 Rand on what? On the trading license. Bank being an asset decreases on the credit side. The other account concerned will be trading license. You know that trading license is an expense, remember? Expenses are in the nominal section. We also know where expense increases on the debit side, decrease on the credit side. We bought this on the 10th of April. Money came from the bank and the amount is 450. Again, two accounts concerned. Bank, spending money will decrease. What did we get in the place of the money? We got a trading license, which is an expense. If you spend money on the expense, that expense increases on the debit side. The last transaction on the 12th, received money for services rendered. We are receiving money. If we receive money, we know that we have more money if we receive money. Where are we going to keep this money? In the bank. Bank is an asset. Asset increases on the debit side, decrease on the credit side. We are receiving 1546 on the 12th. Please take note that you write on the next line on the debit side. On the 12th, we are receiving 1546. Why are we receiving this? For current income. Remember, services rendered is current income. Two accounts needed for the transaction. There's current income inside bank, which shows us that you need to open a current income account. Current income, as the name tells you, is an income. Income is in the nominal section. Increases on the credit side, decreases on the debit side. On the credit side, the more money you receive, the bigger the income becomes. That is why we write on the credit side. There is the debit on the debit side of the bank, credit side of current income. Now the rest of this exercise you will have to do for homework. Do it in pencil so that when we mark it next time that you can correct your mistakes. You have to stay well, keep safe please. We talk again soon.